Okay, I've moved to May Guest House, which actually was my first or second choice before I came here, because the place I was in was nice enough on the inside, but too antiseptic, too hotel-like, and right on the canal, which sounds very atmospheric. And my first room had a view which sounded even more atmospheric, until you realize that it's situated above and almost directly beside a giant generator that would run whenever the city would lose power, which was frequently. In addition to that, the high-powered boats that we'll be on that are truck engines without mufflers, one of the major harbors for that, as well as the canal that they go through, was right below my window. So it was one very noisy place. This is tranquil. Go around and show you. This is the kind of breakfast seating area. That's probably their kitchen, but it's nice and tranquil, gardens, comfortable. Probably meet people here when you're having breakfast. And this is the reception area. This is an older hostel, but it's neat and clean, and it's got atmosphere. The man that runs it, New, is a very nice, soft-spoken man. The staff at the other place was incredibly welcoming and helpful. Not that pleasant enough place to stay. This is kind of the reception area. This is matting that's been varnished. Has some quaint old art. It's pretty. I like that. Fine, getting a picture is that restrained and that interesting. Incidentally, the price for my room is $20 instead of $22 for a single room. It's actually a double room. Now this is made, it's the scratch method, so that you have several layers of color that are on this panel, and then by scratching away at the black, you get down into the lower colors. I think there's a series like it was with the lacquerware, and this may be an exact lacquerware piece, where it's a series of color overlays and then scratching out to get the different layers of color. Here I'm on the sunny side, which is not too bad this time of year. And here a whole kind of a plant arboretum, however you pronounce that word. So much more atmosphere and quiet and peaceful. Enter my room. Twin beds. I will only use one. The mattress is not as good, I can see from here, as in the other place. And it's older, but it's neat and clean. That's all I ask. And the bathroom has been redone sometime in the not too distant past. And it's standard. Toilet, shower on the wall, everything drains down through there. What more could you ask for? So now we're walking out this long wharf, for lack of a better term, alongside this canal, which goes out to the lake, I'm sure, to the little village of Mangtau, or Mangtau, something like that, M-A-I-N-G-T-A-U-K, second word. Here's a smaller boat, probably being repaired, maybe oiled or whatever they do to waterproof the bottom. It's the killer engine that they use. Don't know what it's out of. Maybe it's just for this purpose. In Bangkok, those tails may be 30 feet long. And so you get a heck of a rooster tail off those. Small version of the one-man fishing boat, but with a motor on it. You'd think that motor alone, being as high on that back end, could tip that thing over, but I think those are rice paddies that man's working in. There's some very beautiful flowers, if we can get a telephoto of them later. It's interesting, there's a platform, it looks like. We'll see more of this in the village itself. Maybe that's a work platform for processing your catch, etc. Here's the stairs. I can't gauge for sure. Looks like about 4 or 5 feet above the water. This is some kind of weed or vegetation that's pulled up off the bottom of the lake and sold for something. You notice those tall vertical poles sticking out. And over here we see horizontal poles, a lattice of some sort holding some kind of vegetation. Tomatoes could grow on that, perhaps. Here's a pretty flower if I can get down to it. Is that an iris? Telephoto down this long channel so we can get at least a sense of how large the areas these folks work in, but I'm not sure even that's valid, because look at all those houses that you can see on the periphery. Those may just be outliers from the village itself. Actually, this village is on stilts because it's in water, but probably not that terribly deep. Pretty substantial structures out here, though. On the periphery, we see some of the older ones. It's almost as though the farther you get from the boardwalk, the less sophisticated become the houses, or at least the older style the house. We have a typical home out here. Park your rig underneath the house, of course. All this is floating garden, I imagine. I'll see more of it when I do my trip around the So now the young man there is going to prepare my boat for a 20 to 30 minute cruise for 3,000 chop around the village. Okay, so the hardest part about this journey is going to be sitting upright when there's no back support at all. A T plus though out here. Mingalaba. Mingalaba. Now if that's floating, it's interesting that there's that dirt on top. No doubt something cultivated over many, many years. Or maybe they just bring it up from the bottom. But this is clearly a community that lives on the water and by the water. Notice those nets. We'll see more of those tomorrow, those conical nets. A man takes convenient bath off the back of this boat. I wonder how they get their hands on those ducks over there. Down, you'll see that it's not very deep into the water. Now, how much muck at the bottom you would sink into is a good question. Here we get a closer look at the stairway here, and notice that there are a couple of platforms, and these people are so incredibly agile. There's an outlying shed building. Interesting, the analogy. It's like they've got a water source, hopefully besides the lake, but I could be wrong. Maybe an outhouse there would make sense. Interesting how these channelways become as known to them, as familiar to them as a road system to us. These houses are pretty sophisticated, that being that plastic siding with metal roofing they use pretty much exclusively now, just because it lasts so long and it sheds water so well in the wet season, even though it's considerably more expensive than bamboo, of course, which lasts quite a bit of time, and the reeding, which does not last very long. Going down another street, for lack of a better term, which is interesting because it looks like a board across it. Mingalaba. Snails there too. I bet they eat those. There's dinner. Some of these bamboo are laid across entryways just to ensure that people don't come in there with their motors down. Here, the traditional reed house. I wonder how long that lasts. It looks like it'd be considerably long time. This new reading here. That many of the houses, like the couple we just passed, seem to have a chunk of land, what looks like land, a floating area, pertinent to their individual properties. So that shed holds a couple of pigs. That makes sense. They can be fed very easily. All the grass and the refuse that comes through there, not refuse, but let's call it the excess food that comes through here, because this is the food source of a lot of the food we see in the marketplace, including whatever's hanging up right there. In this building, I'm sure, which is quite large, probably the community building, is a school going on, as you can hear. You see, that's a pretty good sized building. Here, a community effort to rebuild a house or rethatch a house. In their part. And with all the noise and chatter and sometimes singing, they're all kind of enjoying it. Each has their task. No doubt the women are preparing food and probably doing a few other things. No, they're completely rebuilding that house, it looks like. If in fact it's not brand new. Well, trees like this growing, and not to mention that big one in the background, you'd think that these were more than floating. So portions of them may be. I wonder if these bulbous tubers don't somehow provide a food source. Great to have a kayak out here that you could cruise along and like these little run waterways. That'd be fun. Although it'd destroy the ambience of the place. And that would not be good. This is the main street, back to where we started. And this route that I'll rotate to takes us out to Inle Lake. Notice the electrical poles and the electrical system they have out here. I think some fishing nets of some sort, traps. Mingalaba. Here, an entire veranda, it looks like, on the bottom floor of this very nice house made out of slab wood and metal roofing. Notice the detail, if we can see it here, of some kind of caulking that goes inside the seam here. Make it pretty tight. And it feels like, yeah, maybe there's even a secondary material there at the seam. Up near the engine, some actual pitch. Chickens running about there. There's a fence, but I don't think it's used for privacy as much as it may be for some kind of crop that grows on it. Because you'll notice that there are probably 4 of those trellis systems. It may be tomatoes for all I know. Looks like some flowered plants up there to add a little beauty to it all. And here what looks like an abandoned either house or just an outbuilding for storage. and it may be a community structure. So it appears that that matting retains perhaps its original color on the inside, just weathers brown on the outside. See these poles right here to kind of prevent people from going in, or maybe it's a way of saying, please don't come in. Laundry. This water is not only clean, it's their life. So they see nothing inherently dangerous in the use of it for everything. A factor pretty much true in many parts of the world, whereas to us it's quite the opposite. Mingalaba. Folks sitting out on the veranda. It's got to be a peaceful environment. Compare this to living in Nung Shui. And yet you could go to the market if you sell directly to that market and get your complete fill of all of that city stuff. Some other product perhaps, or just some basket stored for some other function. Maybe they're even traps. Get a sense of the understructure. Notice that there is some kind of sewer plumbing. Light TV, a couple of them. Really quite an expensive house, relatively speaking, but it'll last a long time. It's a very large house. You wonder if it doesn't have more than 2 families in it, or 1 family. Look at the nice staircase that's been built. Maybe it's some kind of a community processing building. Folks that enjoy color. Here we can see the innards of these houses. Nothing unpredictable. And here we're doing some harvesting. Mingalaba. Almost looks like some kind of cellar. I'm guessing here's what happens when a house is abandoned. Light TV and maybe internet access somehow out here. What's not to like? Toilets, I'm sure, but where does that sewage go? Right into the water, perhaps? Kind of makes sense. It's a very modern looking structure. Would almost look like it was made out of sheetrock and all that stuff, if that doesn't seem illogical in this context. But it's using pretty good sized timbers also. And it may be a processing plant or factory. As you can see from all of those tomato baskets there. You see pipelines coming in. If those are water lines, then there's somehow a buried water line system. It comes in here from the shore, which is really good. They get their wake, not much. Like my kayak, it bounces around a little bit, no big deal. We'll see plenty of tomorrow, I think. And then they'll paddle with their foot. Now I think this bridge may be as much as 1/4 of a mile long. I think they're working on a boat, but I can't be sure. Looks like some kind of matting over there. Here's some of those flowers growing in the rice paddies. Gorgeous, aren't they? This machine, I believe, is used for cultivating rice paddies. Don't really know how it does what it does, but I think those paddle wheel configurations are for getting through the wet, muddy water. And I just wanted to stop and get a view of the mountains from here. Looks like a new little house being built. We're looking across some sunflower seed field. And off to our right, I don't know what this is, whether it's sugar cane or something. I don't know what that is. But we'll go up into the mountains a bit too. You can't get there because there's not much up there except for dirt roads, and you'd have to know how you were navigating that. And I don't know what you'd go up there for, unless there were some remote villages, like some lumber or excavation work there. Hopefully they're not going to denude their forest right off the bat. Couple of discs, so maybe that's how it does what it does in the rice paddies. Shuck corn. Maybe they have a corn shucking machine on here too. This view is looking to the west over Inle Lake, which I don't think we can see. Pretty white lilies. Pretty white lilies. And if we follow the vine down, we see pods of future lilies. Some pretty red flowers. Also on vines. So I'm now back in the market, and I'm having some fried noodles right here, plus some kind of soup, because this is where people come to eat, and it's usually got to be pretty good or they wouldn't come here all the time, so they do. If I'm correct in my assumption, this condiment is designed to help dentists remove titanium implants if they've been put in incorrectly. In addition, here in Myanmar they use them for spicing food, but I don't have that level of courage.